Good evening. It's cool when you sign up for a webinar. 167 people in 10 seconds. Super. This is great. More than 1,000 people registered for the webinar. We weren't able to send an email to everyone because on the Get Course platform you can only send email to the person who confirmed email, so we decided to hold the webinar on this Instagram account so that the webinar is open. So, I turned off the visibility of comments, because now the slides that you will watch will be shown. What is a keto diet webinar? This is my third time doing this webinar. Probably, it would be necessary to conduct it more often, but since I often have posts with a yellow piano, under which you write your questions, and I answer live, in principle there was no special need. But since the last webinar was held in April 2020, that is, a year and a half ago, new knowledge appeared and there were more than 2,500 wards during this time. Today I tried to count, but some people come again and again, so it was not entirely correct to calculate exactly. Half of these people came to me after self-managing the keto diet. This also affects my current work. Today's webinar will not be exactly like the previous one. You must have seen the previous webinar. It is available on the website for free. This webinar was in April 2020. There I told in great detail about the scheme of ketosis, what ketosis is, how it happens, how to correctly calculate the dish. While this webinar is there, you can watch it, because then we will replace the link with this webinar from today. Today I will also briefly talk about what the keto diet is for all beginners. I know that many have invited their friends to watch and listen. On each slide, I will show and talk about this 1.5 year new experience and talk about what I learned new. Because I attended dozens of seminars over the past year and a half. I also learned about how oncology is now being treated with the help of a keto diet. I'm not going to do this, but at least I'll tell you briefly how it's happening now. What incredible discoveries have occurred in terms of insulin resistance. And more people are beginning to realize that it is because of insulin resistance that most cardiovascular diseases occur. This is new knowledge, and, of course, it affects how I now conduct my course, Health, Slenderness, Youth. I'm sure half of you here have been on this course. So, let's still talk about contraindications to the keto diet. Because here, too, in a year and a half, I have undergone some changes. So type 1 diabetes. I have not taken people with type 1 diabetes on a course before. I am still not quite ready to take them on my course, because I work with people online. Nevertheless, it has already been proven that with type 1 diabetes, people eat quite normally on a keto diet, following some recommendations. People who understand the processes that take place in IM, understand their insulin dosages, are now beginning to be content with this technique. The less, the better. That is, the less they consume carbohydrates and sugar hidden in foods, the smaller the dose of insulin they inject themselves. They come to a stable state according to their diabetic parameters. Who knows? He knows. Father, renal or heart failure. Everything is clear here. Age up to 16 years. As a pediatric nutritionist, I am absolutely sure that children need glucose for development and for learning. Pregnancy. Also for this reason. Because it is glucose that is needed for the development of the fetus. Lactation without food. Also for this reason. Because the baby needs glucose. If you have active complementary foods, then you choose the keto diet, because your child receives carbohydrate from complementary foods. Active oncology. Again, now keto nutrition is also actively used in the treatment of oncology and long-term fasting. Let me briefly tell you about the experience that I heard. There is a live, real man who spoke and talked about his experience. This man at the 4th stage got rid of oncology. This is true, that is, I saw him personally, as he talked about it. He was on a keto diet, of course, and periodically starved. He kept fasting at the beginning 1 day, then 3 days, then 7 days. Then he went on a maximum fast for 40 days. But hunger is not the way you do it. Who come to my courses and say, I was on the water for 40 days. No. During these 40 days, this man actively consumed dietary supplements, trace elements, vitamins and cruciferous vegetables, and he also drank amino acids in capsules. He had such an interesting fasting. Nevertheless, oncology is defeated. I consider it a miracle. Without a keto diet, he would not have succeeded. I think this is an interesting fact, which is also worth mentioning. We continue. So, let's briefly talk about where our energy comes from. At the last webinar, I separately considered proteins, fats and carbohydrates. Today we will not do this, so as not to linger, but for beginners it is useful to know. So, we can take our energy from proteins, carbohydrates and fats. Proteins and carbohydrates go into glucose and glycogen. Glucose is what is in the blood. Glycogen is what is stored in order to take glucose when we need glucose. Glycogen is stored in the liver and muscles. The body constantly gives you a feeling of hunger in order to replenish these reserves and keep blood sugar levels normal. What does this lead to? This leads to the risk of overeating and to the fact that your fat depots are filled, that is, the body stores constantly. The worst thing is overeating. You have experienced it all. If you are on this air today, then one way or another, many of you were overweight. And fats that turn into ketones. Fats are spent with us from the presence that is present in the blood. For example, you ate something, the liver produced ketones, they appeared in the blood, and your body takes energy from them. During the period when you do not eat, the body takes ketones from your fat. Everything. No hunger, the body spends the ketone from your fat. Thus, you lose weight very quickly and effectively in the absence of hunger. If in the first case you see that our hunger is constant, because we need to constantly replenish the reserves in the body, then in the second case the body has reserves and there is no need to replenish them. There is no hunger. Here is a good slide. I think I explained much more clearly why people lose weight faster on a keto diet, in contrast to proper nutrition, for example. Thanks for the hearts. I see. Next, let's talk about electrolytes. Why are some people afraid of the keto diet or, for example, after trying the keto diet for 2 or 3 days, they quickly go back to carbohydrates because they're scared? The body loses electrolytes as it enters ketosis. What it is, you go from carbohydrates to fats, you start consuming fats, glycogen starts to be wasted. For the first 3 days, you feel hungry because your body is constantly asking you to replenish glycogen. Glucose is depleted, there is no strength, and carbohydrates do not come. What it is, the body gives a feeling of hunger. That is, it is a normal physiological process. When glycogen is used up, the water that glycogen holds in the body is removed with it. Our body contains approximately 450 grams of glycogen in an adult. Each gram of glycogen can hold up to 5 grams of water. Imagine how much water a carbohydrate meal contains just by holding on to water. There is no glycogen, the water drains, so it is at the entrance to ketosis that you experience a diuretic effect. This is absolutely normal. But along with water, electrolytes leave. What are electrolytes? Electrolytes are mineral compounds that are capable of conducting an electrical charge. They are necessary in our body, because, being in the tissues and in the blood in the form of salt solutions, they help the movement of nutrients in the cell and the removal of metabolic products. Therefore, at the entrance to ketosis, you feel weak and intoxicated, a state of intoxication and mild poisoning. Also, electrolytes maintain water balance and the necessary level of acidity in the body. That is, the following process occurs. Glycogen is drained, water is drained, electrolytes are drained, severe weakness and malaise begin. Therefore, at this point it is very important to consume electrolytes, but not all. What have I understood over the past year and a half when people come to the course after an independent keto diet? For example, Natasha. Natasha came and said, I lost 7 kilograms in total. The weight stopped, but I still have cramps in the calf muscles. Well, I adapted a long time ago. The keto flu should have gone. What is it? Diet. We start to analyze. Natasha is still drinking potassium. What for? You need to drink potassium only at the beginning. Potassium tones your muscles. If you drink potassium constantly and even if you drink the minimum dose of magnesium, then cramps will happen. This is fine. Magnesium can be taken all the time, but potassium cannot be taken all the time. At different times of the day. And we'll talk more about this now. It is very important. Just like that, entering the keto diet, drinking electrolytes, potassium, magnesium, that's not all. That's not all. You need to know what time of the day to drink them, how to increase this or that electrolyte. I talk about this in detail on the course and correct each participant if suddenly the convulsions continue for 3 days in a row. And it's not just that. This is all the level of electrolytes, which simply will not replenish with a pill. We will continue. Let's look at the symptoms of electrolyte deficiency. For example, if you have a potassium deficiency in your body, then you will have monotonous weakness, lack of strength and swelling. In any case, each of you enters ketosis one way or another. This state appears when electrolytes merge. In the beginning this is normal, but then this state should not be. You ask, then, this is when? This is the right question, because if you do not drink electrolytes, then this state can last 2 months. I know such people, met during these 3 years of my activity. If you are consuming electrolytes normally, then the weakness should resolve in about 10 days after entering ketosis. And then the greatest weakness can be 1 to 3 days if consumed normally. If the weakness continues further, then you need to look for the cause. This means that electrolytes are used incorrectly. Of those who came to me for a course after a self-keto diet, 90% of people consumed electrolytes incorrectly. It's 100%. I speak research data that I see in my course, personally responding to comments under the lessons, on the state of people, correcting it. Sharp dizziness, there is a darkening in the eyes, a sharp weakness. If monotonous weakness, then this is potassium. But the sharp dizziness is sodium. Sodium is salt. Suck the salt under your tongue. Not just this salt for 7 rubles, but you need to dissolve normal sea salt. You do not need to dissolve it constantly, but only the first 10 days. It's enough. Then everything stabilizes, then you do not need to use additional electrolytes. Well, except for magnesium, because magnesium deficiency is everywhere in the adult population of our country. Especially if women drink contraceptives, magnesium deficiency immediately appears. If you are constantly nervous, magnesium deficiency appears. If you drink alcohol more than 2 or 3 times a week, then 100% magnesium deficiency appears, so everyone needs to drink magnesium. You can drink every evening. What are the signs of magnesium deficiency? Convulsions, nervousness, numbness of the limbs. Elementary, if you hold the phone and your fingers are numb, then this is also a sign of magnesium deficiency. Eye twitching is also a sign of magnesium deficiency. Spasm in the back, in the neck is also a sign of magnesium deficiency. There are already many signs of magnesium deficiency, and the list of signs of deficiency is very long. Potassium is better to drink in the morning, because it tones the body. Magnesium is better to drink from 5 to 7 in the evening. This is the perfect time. Available from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Ideally, you need to drink magnesium not before bedtime, when you go to bed, because at night it does not have time to act, namely in advance, 3 to 4 hours before bedtime. Sodium can be absorbed as needed when there is dizziness. You can also drink salted water. This is absolutely normal. There is nothing wrong with this. Very often I am asked, Irina, is it possible to use electrolytes in the form of mineral water? I used to say no. During these 1.5 years, when I conducted an experiment on my own husband, he entered ketosis for me. He was in it for exactly 3 months, he lost 17 kilograms. He has a normal weight, he was a little overweight, but he is of a large physique, so the loss of 17 kilograms is visible, but not critical. And he only drank electrolyte capsules for 3 days, and then he started drinking Borskaja. Mineral water, Borskaja. If it helps someone, then, in principle, he normally got out of this state on it, and in general, I don't mind now. Here again I tell you new information. Borskaja water is sold in large supermarkets. They have a really good composition of electrolytes. I can tell right away that I haven't explored any other mineral water, but Borskaja, not bad. You can basically use it. We will continue further.
Дальше. Так.
Here are some very interesting facts about insulin resistance. Probably 30 to 40% of people come to the course with a large number of diseases. And almost every one of these people has insulin resistance. Every obese person has insulin resistance, only you may not know about it. This is the condition of type 2 prediabetes. I'll tell you briefly. You are still looking at what it leads to. I will briefly describe what it is, for those who do not know. Insulin resistance is a condition where you constantly eat something, constantly snack. Hello, proper nutrition 3 times with snacks. And your blood sugar, glucose levels are constantly rising. In response, your pancreas releases insulin. This is a hormone that, in simple words, distributes this sugar from the blood to the cells in order to get energy. As they say, tired? Then eat something sweet so that you have strength. It's just about that. So you eat, your glucose levels went up, your insulin levels went up, distributed the glucose into your cells, your glucose levels went down. You eat again, the glucose level has risen, the insulin level has risen, distributed the glucose into the cells, you eat again. As soon as the level of sugar in the blood falls, there is a feeling of hunger. Attention. What is insulin resistance? The cell has receptors. This is how we label them. Receptors that catch glucose, that is, insulin delivers glucose. She catches him and leads him inside, and energy appears. This is the synthesis of adenosine triphosphate. When you have a constantly high level of sugar in your body, a constantly high level of insulin in response to this sugar, then the receptors become insensitive and hide in the cell. Everything. The sugar level has risen, the insulin level has risen, it begins to distribute, but there are no receptors. Receptors do not catch glucose, or receptors are so short, as they say, invalid. Catch, and very little glucose enters the cells. You have little energy, that is, you eat, the sugar level is high, the insulin level is high, and there is no strength. No forces. There is a constant feeling of hunger. This is the state of insulin resistance. What does it lead to? Why does it lead to so many diseases? Because mitochondrial dysfunction occurs. This is when the cell lacks energy and nutrients. Accordingly, the whole body begins to slowly break down in turn. I, having listened this year to an excellent seed of a foreign doctor, tell you that it has been absolutely proven that cardiovascular diseases appear many times more often in people diagnosed with insulin resistance. Not in people with high cholesterol. That is, test groups of people participated. Both had high cholesterol, which everyone used to fear so much. Now, thank God, many are not afraid. And both groups had cardiovascular disease in a low percentage and a high percentage. Here in a high percentage there was insulin resistance, but in this group there were practically no cardiovascular diseases. There was no insulin resistance, that is, these are already scientifically proven studies, so insulin resistance needs to be fought, it needs to be treated. Insulin resistance can only be treated with intermittent eating. You can, of course, stay on a carbohydrate diet, but eat intervals. For example, you say that you are afraid of ketosis. The other day someone wrote to me that ketones are poisoning. Okay. This lady was insulin resistant. If you are afraid of ketosis, then you have to deal with it somehow. How? Switch to interval nutrition, give the body a rest without food, so that the sugar level normalizes and the insulin level decreases, and the receptors begin to slowly leave the cell in order to function normally. Restore the sensitivity of cells to insulin. So, this can only be done with the help of interval nutrition, but let's think logically. If we are on a carbohydrate diet and we eat intervals, for example, we endure 16 hours without food and 8 hours with food, then this is a good interval. The body can rest during this time, but tell me, can you be in a calm state for 18 hours on a carbohydrate diet, experiencing a constant feeling of hunger, especially with insulin resistance? Not. This, again, is stressful for the body. On a keto diet, you can easily go 18 hours without food, or even 20 hours. I have one of the participants of the course eats once a day. What else is interesting here? What's an interesting fact? People with insulin resistance do not lose weight. They lose weight very slowly, that is, until the level of sugar in the blood returns to normal. People do not begin to actively lose weight. I'm talking about my students on the course. They lose water, these are the first 3–4 kilograms. They rejoice, oh, I lost weight. Then the weight stops. That's it, my weight has stopped. I'm doing something wrong. Not. Until we normalize blood sugar and insulin levels, nothing will get better. And then, somewhere from the 3rd or 4th week, people begin to lose weight actively. Even those who had insulin resistance begin to lose weight. These are my course participants. Why is this happening? Because you need to normalize these parameters. Why is this happening so fast? Because before we enter ketosis on the course, we need to prepare, we need preparation. And I recommend it to everyone, and there was a live broadcast on this topic. That is, it is impossible that today you ate bread, and tomorrow you went into ketosis. Not. You should gradually go to this for 10 to 14 days. Let's say I tell you what happens on the course. There is preparation on the course, preparation for ketosis, that is, we refuse simple carbohydrates, sugar, bread, gluten, and at the same time we begin to normalize the water balance so that we enter smoothly and our electrolytes are in normal condition. We still drink them, and the water is in balance, and everything is fine with us. For people who come to the course a little later, they have a little less time to prepare. It is more difficult for them to enter later, that is, it is immediately visible empirically. Those who really prepared, that is, honestly, did not eat sugar, did not eat bread, ate only fruit. In preparation, you can eat fruits, that is, you can eat gluten-free cereals, you can eat all this. Such people have a lower manifestation of this notorious keto flu or whale cleansing. These are absolute statistics. In people who enter ketosis right away, it's like a war is raging in their body. It is very difficult for them, because immediately stress is superimposed on stress. For people who have insulin resistance, I want to now say something that I have absolutely become convinced of in the last year of my activity. Before entering the keto diet, you need to have preparation. Everything should be smooth for you. When you are in training, you will start eating when you feel hungry. Yes, I forgot to say the most important thing, that one of the conditions for preparation is to learn how to eat when you feel hungry, that is, to delay as much as possible, for example, the first meal. That is, we reach the interval up to 14 to 16 hours. Your sugar levels will already drop, your cells will be a little more sensitive to insulin, and entering ketosis will be much easier for you, and you will lose weight faster if you are prepared. Here, that's what I wanted to say. That is, avoiding sugar, avoiding gluten, which will immediately normalize sugar levels, and as close as possible to nutrition when you feel hungry. Eating when you feel hungry is intuitive eating. I call him that. This is almost the same as intermittent fasting. Just intermittent fasting is when you distribute meals by the hour. This is made for lovers of carbohydrates, who cannot control themselves so much that they sit and record the time, endure. In ketosis, this fasting is too strong a word, because you don't fast those 18 to 20 hours without food. You live a quiet life, mind your own business, free up time for other things. And it's wonderful. That's why I call it intuitive eating. In general, the very structure of intuitive eating is about the same as that of interval nutrition or intermittent fasting. Let's see the benefits of intuitive eating. You see the slide. Lowering sugar levels, normalizing insulin sensitivity, removing the diagnosis of type 2 diabetes in people who have been on a keto diet for several months. These are my subordinates. There are such. Reducing the risk of cardiovascular disease. This is because I told you that according to the latest scientific focus group studies, people with insulin resistance have many more cardiovascular diseases. I now mean a heart attack, a stroke. Again, what are the benefits of interval feeding? The body spends your fat, and not the one that constantly enters. There are people who on a keto diet eat 3 times a day. If you are not overweight, please eat if everything suits you. Or there is a little extra weight, but everything suits you. You can eat 3 times a day, of course. But, if you need to lose weight, the body must someday have time to reduce the layer of fatty tissue, take ketones from it. But, if you woke up, had breakfast with lard with fried eggs for an hour, lard with fried eggs at lunch and lard with fried eggs in the evening, not counting anything, not even understanding whether you are hungry or not, but you just eat because you are on keto diet and fat get fat. Many say so. You open Instagram, the hashtag keto diet. There's a nightmare going on. Therefore, doctors become afraid of this word. You will never lose weight, or even gain weight. Why? Because diet, weight loss is in any case a calorie deficit. What is a calorie deficit? This is when the body does not enter here, and it takes from here, if you are undernourished a little, at least a little. But, if you overeat, the body can also postpone here, despite the fact that you are in ketosis. It is a fact. Not everyone thinks about it. Eat until you feel full. Masha, who weighs 150 kilograms, does not know what saturation is. If she knew, she would not weigh 150 kilograms, agree. This is an important fact. Again, people who have been on a keto diet themselves come, they don't understand it. What do you have for breakfast? Then you tell them, nothing. They are very surprised by this.
Так.
Let's see what other benefits the keto diet has, besides the fact that you can get rid of insulin resistance by being intuitive eating. Normalization of sugar levels in the first 10 days. Now I'm talking about my course. I can't speak for people who don't know what to eat. I'm talking about the statistics of my course, where people eat according to a certain method, which I will also tell you about now, so that you know. Well, you probably know her by now if you're listening to me. Normalization of sugar levels in the first 10 days. Restoring insulin sensitivity. Reducing the risk of cardiovascular disease. Reducing the risk of cancer. Why? Because the cancer cell feeds on glucose. We do not use glucose. There is glucose in the body. We cannot live without a certain level of sugar in the blood, but glucose is at a level at which a cancer cell cannot multiply. Using your subcutaneous fat reserves as energy, and, accordingly, losing weight. Lack of hunger. And you can easily be on a diet, not like on proper nutrition. Decreased calories. And, again, as a result, weight loss. Clean intestines. Why? What is a clean gut? You stop eating gluten. Gluten is gluten. Your intestines inside are millions, billions of villi, like a carpet. It is these villi that process food. When you constantly eat gluten in large quantities, then these villi stick together, and you have trace elements that do not penetrate the cell through the intestinal walls in a normal state. I'm not talking now about a small piece of bread a day, but I'm talking about a large amount. You know, this is the state when you take a pill for a headache, but it does not help. You took another pill, it doesn't help. Some say, only 2 pills for headaches help me. It is for this very reason. As soon as you go on a keto diet, you are shocked at how the drugs begin to work, because many people reduce doses if some drugs are constantly used. This is a normal process. It may show you alcohol. Drink a glass of wine, and it will seem to you that you have drunk a bottle, because the intestines are clean. The same thing happens with vitamins and dietary supplements, that is, if you used to drink them to no avail, now they are absorbed as accurately as possible. Accordingly, this is a complete recovery of the body, because everything happens differently, everything happens on a clean intestine. The same is true with food. You eat high-quality whole foods, not semi-finished products, and, accordingly, more vitamins and microelements are also absorbed from them, which is simply a miracle, I think. Father. Clean energy, ketone energy. It is known that it is like a propeller in one place, and you are ready to redo everything. Participants in my course joke that they got up at 5 o'clock in the morning to clean the windows. The absence of edema is due to the fact that sugar, glycogen, retains water. And slowing down aging, that is, this is an excellent anti-age program. Now it is on the basis of keto nutrition that they also make anti-age. I missed the slide. These are my beauties who arranged a photo session. See how younger faces are. These are my medalists, some medalists. 56 kilograms, 31 kilograms. People have completed 2 to 3 courses. I wanted to show at the beginning, be proud of the girls, but the slide disappeared somewhere. So, let's talk about the ideal amount of proteins, fats and carbohydrates. It says, fats, proteins and carbohydrates, so that no one can find fault. Fats, proteins and carbohydrates 70/20, which must be present. This is a slide from the last webinar, because you can't say it better. I decided to take a slide from there and show you again. We will not dwell on this for a long time either, because there is already a webinar explaining in detail how to eat on a keto diet and how to calculate food intake. There, even the example of a person was taken. These percentages 70/20 are sources of calories, that is, this calorie is meant, your energy. That is, 70% of your energy comes from fat, 10% of your energy comes from carbohydrates, and 20% of your energy comes from protein. So you can eat a cow, you say, but there is a limitation. There is a protein restriction. You should consume no more than 1 gram of protein per kilogram of your current weight. That is, if you now weigh 70 kilograms, then the maximum protein is 70 grams. If in 2 months you weigh 60 kilograms, then your maximum protein will be 60 grams and a minimum of 0.6 grams per kilogram of your weight. What have I learned over the past year and a half? Therefore, since the spring, we have been counting protein for everyone individually. I'm not just saying, you can eat 0.6, you can eat 1. Eat how you want. Not. That's it, now we have a clear methodology, and for each ward we count the amount of protein individually, not in this wide range, but in a narrower one. It's about age. It depends on the initial weight, because the lower the weight, the closer we need to approach the upper limit of the norm, and the greater the weight, the more we approach the lower limit of the norm. And, again, chronic diseases. Here, too, must be taken into account. There is a certain method, according to which we now individually count the amount of protein with assistance. And at the end of the first month of the course now, this is also something new that has appeared this year. At the end of each course I question each participant. I look at how much the layer of fatty tissue has decreased relative to their state of health, because there are people who hormonal support. Naturally, things are different there. And age is also taken into account, and the nutrition that was before the course is taken into account. Then I adjust the amount of protein, we experiment. Naturally, at the end of the course, I also teach how to experiment. This is a very interesting activity. You have no idea how different people are. There are 2 identical ladies, and each has its own amount of protein. This, again, confirms my theory, which I constantly talk about. These calorie formulas that everyone counts and eats according to them are all nonsense. Because 2 identical ladies eat different amounts of protein from me and both lose weight. And if one eats like the other, then nothing will work. This is great, this is great. So, you are guided by the amount of protein and calculate your food intake relative to it. That is, you know that you will now eat 150 grams of fish. Enter this data into the Fat Secret. I'll show you now. You add 2/3 of a plate of lettuce leaves with a hillock, but you all know that too. I say this every live broadcast, like a radio. And add, for example, 3 tablespoons of olive oil, and enter this data into the Fat Secret. And look not at calories, but at the chart below. For example, today I created slides for you and made up this dish. Salmon, avocado, olive oil, iceberg lettuce, cucumber. Here is 70/20. Look at the amount of protein. I ate 35 grams of squirrel. This is my minimum. In principle, today I can no longer eat. By the way, I didn't eat any more today, but I can eat again so that my maximum protein is 58 grams, because I weigh 58 kilograms. People who play sports intensively, who do strength training, swim for 2 hours, you can increase the amount of protein up to 1.2 grams. Again, this is all very individual. You need to understand and look at the dynamics. But I think it's understandable. I have a separate video on YouTube on how to use the program. We won't stop there. Let's continue further. What products to choose? Again, what mistakes have I seen over the past year and a half? They eat everything and still argue with me. I eat tomatoes. I can't live without tomatoes. I say, and try to remove it. Removes, ketones 16, weight, -1.5 kilograms. What does it mean? The water is gone, it means that the water was in you. What does it mean? This means that there was glycogen. The same thing happens with protein. Well, I eat meat. It's not fat or carbohydrates. At lunch a piece of meat was eaten, in the evening a piece of meat was eaten. Too much squirrel. I'm hungry. I eat so much meat and I don't get full. I'll explain why. Remember the first slide I showed? The body can make glucose from protein. You ate a lot of protein. The body does not know where to put it. The body does not need so many amino acids. It begins to convert excess protein into glucose. The body sensed glucose. Oh my God, glucose. It's so easy for me to live on it. Let's store glycogen in the liver. And the body gives you a feeling of hunger. If you constantly eat too much protein, then you will constantly feel hungry, you will not be in ketosis, and you will eat up fats. Then these fats will go into your fat depot, and you will gain weight again. Here is the rule. That is, proteins are all meat, products, fish, seafood, mushrooms, nuts. Nuts are evil. You can eat 30 grams maximum. Everything. Otherwise, 2, there is a feeling of hunger. Carbohydrates are all leafy greens, green vegetables. You don't have to eat yellow peppers. Do not eat red tomatoes, red peppers if you need to lose weight. If you don't need to lose weight, you can eat it. But, if you understand that the weight is not decreasing, and you need to lose weight, if you weigh 80 kilograms, and the weight is not decreasing, look at your list. There must be tomatoes in there somewhere. Fats. What do we eat on the course? Olive oil, coconut oil, lard, butter, ghee, avocado oil. We immediately say no to seed oils. I was also present at a big conference on seed oils, on diseases, on insulin resistance. Seed oils rank first as the oils that cause insulin resistance, resulting in cardiovascular disease, because omega-6 is present in huge amounts. This is also not my data, but I always talked about it. The last conference was at the end of 2020. Seed oils are evil. Explored peoples. I told the girls in the club, showed them photos from the presentation. Explored peoples. Mostly, African peoples were explored. People eat coconuts, which means they have saturated fats, but they have absolutely no seed oils and absolutely no cardiovascular disease. And so they considered 5 or 6 nationalities. There are no cardiovascular diseases anywhere and there is no omega-6 anywhere, that is, it is in a minimal amount. This has been proven. Refusal of alcohol, because it is intoxication. Refusal of dairy products. I posted a wonderful video about dairy products in the summer on my YouTube channel, where I showed 2 photos of myself. In the first I consumed dairy products, and in the second I refused them. Everything is clearly visible in the volume of the buttocks. You can watch this video. After that, no one argues with me anymore. So that's the difference, right? So today I created this slide, I just typed the hashtag, keto diet, I went in and this is what I saw. I swear, this is the first photo. Lamb hearts in bacon. Where is the fiber? No. And here's my yesterday's plate. I uploaded it to stories yesterday. I have prepared everything fresh for you. 70/20, 10. Iceberg lettuce, shrimp, olive oil, sesame and chia seeds. If my plate is shown to the doctor, he will say, fine. And if you show this plate to a doctor, he will get scared and say, the keto diet is evil. By the way, I promised to tell you what's new this year. I will have course participants take pictures of 5 to 10 of their plates, and if they then go to the doctor and say that they are on a keto diet and the doctor is scared, I ask them to show our plates. And no other doctor said it was terrible. Everyone is allowed to eat this way, they also ask my contact, it's wonderful. So, you can see all my plates in stories too. Now let's talk about sore issues. What prevents ketosis for people who are on a self-keto diet? This is also from my observations about people who come after an independent keto diet to the course. Individually, I also work with some. So, too many carbs. These are red vegetables, berries, nuts and fruits. Even if you have this handful of berries on your plate and you think it's not enough, it may be quite a lot for you. The level of ketones will decrease, and you eat a lot of fat. You will not lose weight, because if the body is not in ketosis, it will not use your fats for ketones as well. And for this, you came to the keto diet so that your layer of fatty tissue decreases. They also eat a lot of semi-finished products, and their sugar is added everywhere in the composition. Shop mayonnaise, mustard. Well, we take mustard on the tip of a spoon. This is fine. Some people eat a lot of ketchup. There is sugar everywhere. When it's a drop of sauce, it's not terrible even with sugar, but when you have a large amount of tomato paste with sugar on a plate, then it's already bad. We continue. Too much protein is what I said. At lunch they ate a piece of meat, in the evening they ate a piece of meat. The body converts protein to glucose, ketones go down, you're not in ketosis. You constantly have a feeling of hunger, the body asks you to replenish the carbohydrate reserve, that is, glycogen. And you start to overeat, and you don't lose weight either. Stress. Stress always lowers ketones because when stressed, the body is in reserve mode. The body does not waste when it is under stress. High-intensity sports and baths also reduce ketones, so in the first month, when the body is just starting to get used to and feel ketosis, I do not recommend doing high-intensity sports and going to the bath. Then you can, of course. I'm not saying that you need to live without a bath now. No. Illness is stress, respectively. Here you just need to let the body get sick and not be nervous. Some begin to say, God, I won't lose weight now. Well, health is more important here. Lack of sleep is stress. Those who work night shifts lose weight much more slowly on my course. This is statistics. This is clearly monitored. Menstruation also holds weight and gives 1 to 1.5 kilograms of water. Dairy products are the same, because they still have a high insulin index, they give rise to insulin, and you constantly feel hungry, and puffiness appears, of course. Hormonal preparations. Now I don't mean contraceptives. I mean the drugs that some drink for the thyroid gland, supporting. They also slow down weight loss. We had a slide about what hinders ketosis. So, how should the weight go? Many people ask this question. They come to the course and ask, how much will I lose weight? First, you are all different. This is my catchphrase. I call her that. You are all different. Even two mashers eat different amounts of protein, two identical mashers at the same age, with the same weight. What affects it? The initial weight with which you came to the course, discipline effects. What is included? Why did I put an ellipsis? Discipline is a list of products, and norms for the consumption of proteins, fats and carbohydrates, and food when you feel hungry. So there are 3 points here. Water. Many do not drink enough water. This is problem. Lack of water is a problem. It's just not possible in the last year. Some come with their own installations, that 1.5 liters is enough for them. They get to the end of the first month and say, I'm slowly losing weight. I start telling him, drink more water. This rule is. This is the foundation of the basics. This rule is. They drink more water and start losing weight. This is a proven fact. Proven. You will not lose weight normally by drinking 1.5 liters of water. This is 100%. If you are listening to me now and drinking 1.5 liters of water, increase the amount to 2 to 2.5. If your weight is more than 90 kilograms, then you should drink 3 to 3.5 liters of water. This is a 100% fact. Stress. Here again, ellipsis, because this is a disease, lack of sleep, and so on. All this also affects weight loss. Why can't I give you a number? Because there are many factors. The presence of hormonal support. But now I want to show the average. So I specifically calculated after the autumn course, which ended in October. The course lasts 2 months. Of these, we are in ketosis for a month and a half. I am telling you this so that you understand how normal it is to lose weight. These are numbers. The first 2 weeks are preparation. We just cut out the sugar, and then we're in ketosis for a month and a half. And these figures are obtained only for a month and a half in ketosis, because 2 to 3 kilograms are lost during preparation. There are isolated cases when they lose weight by 5 kilograms. In people weighing more than 90 kilograms, on average, weight is reduced by 10–17 kilograms. In my opinion, the maximum figure was 18, but I did not write it, because only one person lost 18 kilograms. People weighing 70 to 90 kilograms lose weight by an average of 8 to 14 kilograms during the course. People with normal biological weight. I specifically wrote this because 50 kilograms is a normal biological weight, and 65 kilograms is also a normal weight. They are slimming by 4–8 kilograms. By this I mean people who came with the usual food. If people were on a keto diet, then the indicators are 2–12 kilograms. Can you imagine what the keto diet was like if a month and a half after the body was already adapted to a low-carb diet, they lose weight by such numbers? And indeed it is. We continue. I specifically showed you such numbers. Here, again, these are the ladies from the summer course. Someone from the fall course. In my opinion, everything is from the summer course. I went to reviews school-keto_pravda. You can go to the description of this profile. There is a link to reviews. You will see many examples there and real text reviews of people. Again, this is about how realistic it is to lose weight in 2 months. If you are a person who is on an independent keto diet, this is also normal, this is acceptable, but you understand that you weigh 80 kilograms, and in 2 months you have lost only 5 kilograms, this means that you are doing something wrong. A person with a lot of excess weight cannot lose only 5 kilograms in 2 months. Cannot. It's just water coming out of you. This means that you are either deficient in electrolytes, or you are eating too much protein, which is most likely, either you are eating without feeling hungry, or you are not drinking enough water, or you are not consuming enough carbohydrates, and the body is under stress. Women need to keep carbohydrate at the position of 10%, the 8th of October 12%, otherwise it is stress for the hormonal system. I have already said that I am categorically against a diet with carbohydrates for women. In men, everything is arranged differently, they can. In women, the menstrual cycle is disturbed, the thyroid gland begins to work incorrectly, it is under load. Therefore, please, consume 8 to 12% of carbohydrates. We have an error of 2%. This is important and this is not a joke. Some say, I can't eat a bowl of greens. Eat broccoli, they are high in carbohydrates. Broccoli, avocado, cucumber. It doesn't have to be just the leaves. You can eat vegetables, zucchini. There are places with more carbs, but that doesn't mean you have to eat a tomato to hit 10% carbs so you can fill up faster. No. This is not how it is done.